Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of First and 10. I am of course joined as always by my Des Bryant to my Tony Romo, only we're a little bit better and more qualified to do a good job than those two gentlemen. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
Exactly, I would agree as well. Big show this week, actually. We got lots to talk about.
Huge show.
Huge, massive. Maybe as big as Cowboy Stadium, dare we say. Lots to talk about. A lot of big matchups in the primetime element between Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. Plus some interesting topics to talk about here. I guess, I thought last week was a pretty interesting week in the NFL. Went down to the wire with my Buffalo Bills. Your New York Giants steamrolled the San Francisco 49ers, which has to be really nice for you. Especially considering, it was a big game, and I thought the 49ers were going to show up a lot more than that. My Bills got it done and make that division extra interesting. The Seahawks get it done against the Pats. And really, the Steelers don't get it done against the Titans. So
that was a long time ago.
It feels like it. It feels like centuries ago.
Those Thursday nighters, jeez.
Those Thursday nighters. Lots can happen. Drinking between the Thursday and the weekend, it just messes with you, folks. But we may as well just get right into Thursday, starting with a little bit of a pick'em here. Let's hope this week now is a lot better for pick'ems than my pick'em, your pick'em, everybody's pick'ems, because I think this was a disastrous week in the NFL for pick'ems, unless, you cheated. Which I'm sure most of you did. But anyway, so the Thursday nighter, a very interesting matchup for top place in the NFC West between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. This is now such an interesting game. The Seahawks, a very interesting team. Both are 4-2. The Seahawks are very interesting in my mind. Russell Wilson's the quarterback everyone had put on, the black market, basically. They didn't want to give him all the credit. I've always liked Russell Wilson since I saw him, last year play great football with Wisconsin. And when you look at Russell Wilson, what's he done? He's beaten the likes of Tony Romo, Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, and now Tom Brady. That's pretty big for a rook, and he now goes up against one of the best defenses in the NFL. However, like we said, they didn't really show it against your Giants. So I guess, how do you see this one going? Do the 49ers bounce back?
It's going to be a battle. Seattle has just been underestimated the entire season so far. Both teams, great rushing. 49ers, good rushing offense. Seattle, great rushing defense. It's going to be a battle. And basically, I'm going to go with Seattle in this one. You know why? Because San Francisco hasn't beat an elite team since week 1. They beat Green Bay, and maybe a shock to a lot of people. I must say, they haven't really played a lot of good teams, so they can't help their schedule. But, they're showing last week at home against the Giants. Didn't look very good. I do expect them to bounce back against that, but I think Seattle is going to beat San Francisco here and show themselves as possibly a playoff contender now.
See, I like Seattle. I like what they're doing, but I don't think they got enough in the tank to beat these 49ers. I think the 49ers were just a victim of a team that has their number last week, and I think they put maybe too much into it and just, I guess, lost sight of it's just a regular season game. It's not a playoff game. I know you guys, they wanted to get the revenge against the Giants, but, that didn't happen, obviously. But now it's a new week, and it's a short week for them to readjust things. The 49ers have a great defense in their own right. However, your Giants were able to light them up for, over 162 yards, and I think 116 of them were from Ahmad Bradshaw. Marshawn Lynch can definitely run the ball, but I don't think he's going to be as elusive as Bradshaw was. I think the 49ers get back on the track. It's at home. I think Smith plays a great game. The Seahawks defense scares me as much as the 49ers defense, but I think it comes down to special teams and the field goals. It's kind of been happening recently, and I like the 49ers special teams more than I like the Seahawks, so I'm going to go with San Francisco. Now, that division, the NFC West, is very interesting as those two top teams are 4-2 with San Francisco and Seattle, and they're going to duke it out. But another division that is very, very interesting, folks. The AFC East, it's a 4-way tie for first. All teams 3-3. Yeah. This is huge. I mean, this is huge for me as a Buffalo Bill fan, as this week is going to be interesting because two of those teams play each other in the Jets and the Pats. Buffalo plays a very beatable Tennessee Titan team. Now, they have a lot of momentum beating the Steelers, but that could be, it was at home, and I don't think the Steelers are what we thought they were going into the season, to channel my Denny Green here. But I really like Bill's chances going into this week against the Titans. We got a lot of momentum. They did something I didn't think they could do this season, and they won ugly. Mario Williams had a big game. The defense came up in some strong aspects. And Jarius Byrd, also his name, AFC Defensive Player of the Week. So that's big for us. And, that is a big game as well between the Pats and the Jets. The Jets look fantastic against the Colts.
They did.
The Patriots look crummy in the second half, which is, I guess, the whole icing of the cake of your games against the Seahawks. So those teams just have a natural-born rivalry. So that's going to be very interesting. I guess, as well, it's big for Buffalo because those teams going to duke it out. And Miami has a bye. That's huge for us to capitalize on. Yeah. So I guess, before we move on to the next topic, who do you like so far right now in the AFC East?
It's a great battle. This is probably, AFC East, so tight. And I think it's going to be tight all the way throughout to the playoffs. Buffalo, as you said, they're rolling. They're looking pretty good. They could definitely win this week. Miami has a bye, but surprised a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people would think they'd be 500 this late into the season. And then the Jets, all their injuries, somehow they're still able to pull out a win against Indy. And who knows? Maybe they can work some more magic next week. The Patriots, though, I still gotta pick them for this division, not because of historics, but because of, in the last 6 weeks, their 3 losses, they have lost by 1 point twice and by 2 points once. So what that means is they're 4 points away from being 6-0 versus now being 3-3. Now, as I'm going to talk about a little bit later, is in order to close out a game, that definitely puts you in as an elite team. And clearly the Patriots can't do that right now, but I still think with that showing, they have the ability to win those close games. If they start doing that, they're going to come up on top of that division. I just don't see any of those other 3 teams being quite as dominant as the Patriots have been so far this season.
Well, I don't know if anyone's going to be... the Patriots have only looked really dominant against the Bills after Buffalo had that monumental collapse defensively. But it seems like my Buffalo Bills have tightened things up defensively a little bit. They played a real good close game against Arizona, as much as I didn't think they could. I guess a team, though, we have to give a lot of props to in this division is the Miami Dolphins. I don't think anyone saw Miami being as this consistent, and they've been playing really good football. They won 2 weeks ago on the road in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is a quality team that could win their division. Mm-hmm. And the Rams last week, and the Rams made a valiant effort, and I think it came down to a field goal for them, but there's no way you're making a 66-yard field goal in Miami. That's insane. Yeah. But the Jets, we have to give them props because the Colts had a lot of momentum from last 2 weeks ago now against the Packers.
Oh, definitely.
So I think it's going to be like that. I don't know if the Patriots are going to be as an elite of a team as they are. I think someone makes it close. Miami could, because Miami's always been a team that has their number. But I just love to see Buffalo get it done.
I think Buffalo will make it close for sure.
I hope they do. But speaking of elite teams, the Atlanta Falcons, 6-0 for the first time in franchise history. Honestly, they're playing some of the best football I think we've ever seen this franchise play. Really looking like a contender for a Super Bowl. Easily the best team statistically, record-wise in the NFL. Do you see anyone stopping them?
The one thing, Atlanta, great team, 6-0. A lot of people are knocking them on, making it close against some lesser teams. Example, Oakland last week. That was a really close game, but elite teams, like I said before, elite teams win those close games. And in the NFL these days, as we have found out, any given Sunday, right, you can lose to a team. So I mean, you just got to be able to win those games, and Atlanta has done that so far. The one thing, though, they've only played one divisional game, and that was against Carolina Panthers. Obviously, they won it. And I think they're going to lose their next divisional game, which is in New Orleans against the Saints in 3 games from now. That's going to be their first loss. So they're going to be 8-0, and then once they face the Saints, 8-1. I just think the Saints are going to have enough momentum at that point, kind of have their team structure and mentality. And Atlanta, they're an amazing team. I can't see them running the table. It's got to end sometime, and it's going to be a divisional matchup, and it's going to be against the Saints.
Hold up, you're back on the Saints bandwagon. What is this? You are flip-flopping more than Mitt Romney here. I don't know. You're all off the bandwagon. They win 1 week. Hey, New Orleans, woo! Like, we can't have that on this show.
They're a tough team to grasp.
They are a tough team to grasp, but you went off the bandwagon a long time ago. I'm not a fan of that, but I do agree there's no way Atlanta's going to run the table. I don't even think they're going to. No, they don't think they can run the table. Divisional matchups, I think, will be close. I think Atlanta sweeps Carolina. Tampa is a team you also don't really know how to judge, but I think they have enough firepower to beat them.
Yeah.
The Saints always play Atlanta really close. I think, though, they do have their number this year. The only thing I think stopping Atlanta is themselves, because Michael Turner seems to be upset with his use in the offense, that they got to run the ball more. He wasn't impressed with how they got the job done.
Not last week.
Having to have a game-winning interception, pick 6. Victory that you're not going to get that all the time. And while we agree, but still, I think that's the one thing that's really shown the improvement in why Atlanta's 6-0. They have a defense this year, and that's a huge, huge thing. Especially, like we said before, they don't even have Brent Grimes as the second cornerback, and just that defense overall, just scary. Speaking of a team known for a strong defense that is now lacking a little bit, that's the Baltimore Ravens, as Ray Lewis has a torn pectoral muscle out for the season. That is huge, folks. I mean, this team is 5-1. Really, their only losses are controversial with back in the wacky replacement ref days to the Philadelphia Eagles. And now losing Ray Lewis without having Terrell Suggs there, that's huge. I mean, that's just like your heart and your soul gone from your defense. And this defense has looked a little shaky compared to years before. Now Lewis gone, that's big. How do you think Baltimore rebounds from this? And do you think Ray Lewis should call it quits after this? This is a huge injury.
Well, it's huge. Huge for Baltimore, huge for Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis has 57 tackles this season, 4th in the NFL, 1st on Baltimore. That, to give up your best tackler and that's incredible on its own, and something that'll be tough to come. But as everybody knows, Ray Lewis is the definition of leader. If you look up leader in the dictionary, there is picture of Ray Lewis. He is so inspirational to that entire team, and to have him out of that dressing room, I think is going to affect it way more than losing his 57 tackles on the season. I know they have a young middle linebacker to replace him. Everybody seems to be singing his praises that he can get the job done, but as I said, Ray Lewis is just a little bit more than that. I think Baltimore, this hurts their chances of going to the playoffs, or not going to the playoffs, going to the Super Bowl.
The show.
Yeah, the show, going to the ship. Just because that veteran leadership is so monumental for making a run like that. Whether he calls it quits or not, it's tough to say. I don't know if he ever said that this season was going to be his last season, but I think a lot of people thought that was true. I know this summer he worked really hard to get himself into better shape. I guess he's biking a lot and stuff. And so he really was excited for this season. And I kind of felt like it would be his last as well. Now with this injury, though, out for the season, I hope he doesn't end his season or his career like this. It's such an incredible career. He can't do that. I want him to come back next season, and I hope Baltimore is just as successful next season if he does.
Well, I think we both want him to come back, but I mean, father time catches up to everyone, and that's a serious injury for someone at his age. I mean, the man's been in the league since 1997. I mean, that's a long point in time. I was in 2nd grade when he was in the NFL as a rookie. So there's that. I mean, if he retires this way, I mean, it's a shame. I don't think anyone's going to remember how he retired. They're just going to remember what he did on the field. He's a certain first-class ballot Hall of Famer when he's up for that role in the end for the Hall of Fame. I think the Ravens will still have him, obviously, on the sidelines as a great leader and a great motivator and a great guy to have for that defense to make plays. It's going to be a little different. He's not going to be the one himself getting to make the plays out there, which sucks. But it's now really up to that offense, and that offense has firepower. Ray Rice running the ball, and of course, Bolden's picking up his play with the Ravens, and Torrey Smith as well, playing great football there. And I think they have one of the more underrated tight ends as well in Pitta. So I still like the Ravens in the AFC, especially with the Pats kind of struggling a little bit. I think they still have hope there. Do they go to the ship? That's still, I guess, we'll wait and come see. But speaking of the Ravens, they got a tough test in their own right. Now they got to go to Scrooston to take on the Houston Texans. Scrooston, Texas, that's the music they listen to. Okay. So they got to take on an angry Houston Texan team. And this team is a team that we all were like, they are probably the best in the NFL. Look at their defense. Their offense is great. Aaron Rodgers threw 6 touchdowns against them. 42 points. We didn't really see that coming from the Green Bay Packers, I don't think. Houston's going to be angry. Baltimore now is reeling from the loss of their guys and making it close against the Cowboys. So I guess they want to have a clean sweep against the teams from Texas. Who do you like in this one? Because this is really our game to watch here.
It is. It's the game to watch. I'm going to be sitting down, popcorn, maybe an adult beverage.
An adult drink.
Watching this game. I got to go with Houston, Jay. Both these teams very similar statistically. It's just I can't see Houston losing twice in a row at home in their building. As much as the Baltimore offense and is looking good and their passing game is looking good, and as much as the Houston defense got rocked with the passing game last week, they're going to bounce back. They're going to come back. And they're going to run the ball. I'm hoping their offense, Houston offense, has got to run the ball. You have friggin' the 2 best running backs, the 2 best tandems in the league, and then throw the ball, friggin' Andre Johnson. Like let's get this shit done, boys. You guys have an elite offense. You got to use them properly. And if they execute their game plan, I felt like they really got away from their game plan against Green Bay. I don't know why. They just decided they needed to. If they execute their game plan properly, they can beat any team in the NFL. And Baltimore's going down. Houston's going to beat them.
I like the profanity use. You're really into the Houston Texans right here. You're just mad about their performance last week. I can just tell,
furious.
Just save that for Twitter, though, Matt. It's a family show. I think this is going to be a close game. I think what you can tell from the performance from the Texans last week defensively, you can tell how much they miss Brian Cushing. I mean, Brian Cushing is a torn ACL, done for the season. You can just tell how much they miss him. And J.J. Watt and defensive line can't do it all himself. I mean, he can try all he wants to get all that pressure, but it's a team on defense, and you got to have guys out there in the secondary help you out, and that's what they really didn't have happen against the Packers. I think one of the things, though, that's going to be the defining moment in this game is, so just so you know, I'm picking Baltimore, and I think it's because they got Jacoby Jones. And Jacoby Jones played on the Texans last year. This is the same team he played on, basically. He knows how they think. He knows what they think. He knows how they play. He knows what they're thinking when they played the Ravens in the playoff game last year. I like Baltimore on the Jacoby Jones benefactor. And Jacoby Jones can get it done receiving-wise, and he can get it done special teams-wise, as he took a big kickoff return to the house against them Cowboys last week. So I like the Ravens. I think it comes down close. I think the Texans play a much better game. They get their act together, profoundly professional here, against the Ravens. And I like the Ravens by a field goal. And another game I like by a field goal, interesting enough. So I like Baltimore in that one. Moving to the end of Sunday night, that is, it's going to be an interesting divisional matchup here between the 2-3, oddly enough, Pittsburgh Steelers and the 500 Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams are struggling as the Steelers were up against the Titans, but blew it. And the Bengals have kind of been playing poor football recently. Not looking good against... They didn't look that great against the Miami Dolphins, and they're the first team to concede a victory to the Cleveland Browns. Now, granted, the Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, strong in-state rivalry, so Cleveland's a little amped up for that, more so than most matchups. But you can't be losing 0-5 football teams, especially when people are expecting you to make at least a wild card spot once again. So I dare ask you, young Matthew, who do you like in this Sunday nighter, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati?
Both these teams are, it's surprising, terrible run offenses. Neither team can run the freaking ball. It's crazy, ridiculous. All of growing up, it was like Steelers, Cincinnati. It was just a ground and pound, just running at each other as hard as they can. And to be honest, I thought Bengals were going to have a different issue. I thought there was going to be the sophomore slump with their quarterback and AJ Green. And
the Red Rocket Andy Dalton.
That's right, Dalton. They're actually passing the ball pretty good. AJ Green's actually leading fantasy with wide receivers. So none of these teams can run the ball. And I was looking at their defensive numbers. Steelers just happen to have a better defense. Not necessarily that much better, but they do have a better defense than the Bengals. I can't see the Steelers going down 2-4. And the Bengals have been struggling. They haven't really beaten a significant team in a couple weeks now. So I gotta go with the Steelers. They lost to Tennessee last week too. They gotta bounce back from that. They gotta be a better team than this. I put my faith in Big Ben and their offense, and they're gonna pass the ball down the field against the Bengals and get that W.
You, like most of the ladies, putting your faith in Big Ben. I like that. I think it's going to be a close matchup. The Steelers and Cincinnati play each other pretty close, but I'm going to lean with Pittsburgh in this one. Not like a confident one, but Pittsburgh's always had Cincinnati's number. The one thing I've noticed, going into the season, I thought, Pittsburgh's age would really show, and it really is showing. The team is, it's the same team year after year, and it's not like the league's getting younger, defenses are getting wiser what they're going to do. They lost an offensive threat in Hines Ward for retirement. They can't run the ball, like you said. I think that contract sign out from Mike Williams has been a big issue for Pittsburgh, for the chemistry between him and Roethlisberger. And the defense is, they lost Polamalu again. He will not play this week against Cincinnati, and that's huge. I think Cincinnati can make it interesting. Ben Jarvis could get the ball going. Who knows? But it's really about...
I don't think it's Ben Jarvis. I think that's that O-line.
It's a bit of both in that situation. I think, though, Dalton could show up here and Green and them could light up that secondary, which is lacking. But I just think Pittsburgh just knows how to play this team for some reason, somehow. So I'm going to lean with Pittsburgh. And then I guess this means we just move on to the Monday nighter here. And it's an interesting matchup in that division as well as the 4-1 Chicago Bears, the, dare I say, Super Bowl bound Chicago Bears.
Oh.
May have jinxed them a little bit right there. But they play a team in the Detroit Lions that, not as big of a rivalry for them as when they play the Packers, but, a nice little rivalry in that division. And the Lions did what I thought they would do after the bye. They got themselves together, composed, and had a big come-from-behind overtime victory over the great, according to Matt, Philadelphia Eagles, a scary offense. I don't know what he's talking about.
Fast offense. Anyway.
Yeah, fast offense going backwards, more like a rewind offense if you watch that overtime. 31 yards lost. Come on, son. You can't do that. But moving to this game, I think this is going to be a real test here for the Lions. I think it's the first divisional matchup that the Lions have had this season. They're playing a team in the Bears who, they had a bye, they had a nice little break, but they, like we've said before, their defense is an offense, and when that happens, that means their offense is a super offense. And the defense for Detroit, if the defense from Detroit shows up like how they played in the fourth quarter and overtime, scary matchup because they were getting good pass rush on Vic. The O-line was collapsing and they're getting good pressure there. But I'm leaning with Chicago. It's in Soldier. That offense has looked so good. And their defense, I think, is going to still give Stafford and Johnson a lot of trouble there. And Detroit still can't run a football either in their own right. So, are you taking the Bears as well?
I got to take the Bears.
That Bears.
Yeah. They are... Well, Lions haven't beaten an elite team yet this season. They haven't even really shown up. And the games that they have won...
What are you talking about? They just beat the Eagles. They're elite to you.
Whatever. Anyway, the teams that they have won, or the games that they have won, just barely like pulled it out kind of thing. With the Bears, they're rolling right now. Since their loss to Green Bay, they are just rolling. They have something to prove. Scary, and as much as I hate to admit that you might be right,
I might be right.
They might make to the Super Bowl and possibly win. I mean, I bet you there are a lot of people's picks now after what they've shown, and they've been flying under the radar a lot too, eh? Like,
and that's what you need to have.
Exactly.
You gotta fly under the. Look at your Giants. They flew under the radar and they held the Lombardi.
Yeah. They're not getting a lot of publicity about it. And they're just going around doing their thing. Not a lot of controversies or anything. Their defense is scary defense. So I got to take Chicago in this. Lions just don't have it, and Chicago moving forward too.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be as much of as bad of a game for the Lions. I think the Lions make it interesting. They did show signs of what they can be like from last year in that game against the elite Eagles, as you would say. But I'm obviously going to go with Chicago here, just how well they've been playing. But, I think Detroit does make it interesting, but I like the Bears by at least maybe a touchdown or more. I guess quickly here, before we wrap up the show, we'll go do our quick picks between the first game, Arizona and Minnesota. Who do you like in that one?
Minnesota.
I'll go with Minnesota as well. The 1-5 Browns and the 2-3 Indianapolis Colts.
I gotta go with my boy Luck, the Colts.
I will go with the Colts as well. Browns lost their Mike Holmgren as a leader, and they're terrible. Redskins, Giants. I'm going to go with RG3 to run around circles on that defense. I can see an upset there with the brand new savior, RG3 and the Redskins. Of course, the Titans in Buffalo. You know who I'm going with in this one, so...
Yeah, I gotta go with your boys, Buffalo, yeah.
Alrighty then. So then we go to the Saints and the Buccaneers in a pivotal NFC South matchup.
Well, you know me, I'm flip-flopping. Gotta jump back on the bandwagon, go with the Saints.
Yeah! I can see the Saints. However, the Bucs look good, but then it was against Kansas City, who could be the worst team in the NFL. So I'm gonna go with the Saints. And lastly, the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers.
As much as it kills me to say, Dallas Cowboys.
See, I like the Cowboys as well in this one. The Panthers seem to be falling apart as a team, and Tony Romo may not throw 2 interceptions. So, and Dez may catch a touchdown to win. I mean, that could happen. I don't know. But that's really going to be it for this week. We'll be back, of course, next week to break down everything that is and there in the NFL. So, for Matt, I'm out. Peace.